In this video, we got 𝗬𝗍 with us today. We're going to talk about his Amazon FBA store. Super cool to have him on because me and him, we've done a ton of live streams together. If you want to check those out, those are on his channel and my channel. We've kind of spent a lot of time live streaming together. So if you are interested in learning about his Amazon FBA business, then stick around. All right, today we have Cody with us today, 𝗬𝗍. Cody, can you give us a background of kind of who you are, kind of how you got started with selling and all that?
I just started selling on Amazon a little bit over a year ago. Past 12 months, I've done over $500,000 in sales on Amazon. This is what I do full time. I don't have any other job, nothing like that. So my main source of income is selling on Amazon right now, which I think that's pretty important when you get information to know where it's coming from. So that's what I do. This is what I do full time. All I do is I buy products from various retailers for insanely cheap. I use different things like cashback extensions, gift cards, and discount codes to get those products for extremely cheap. And then I sell them on basically below retail, and then I'll sell them on Amazon for at retail or above retail prices. And then I basically just make a very small margin there, but I sell a ton of items, and that's really just how I pay for all of my living expenses right now.
That's awesome. I'm kind of curious, and I feel like the viewers might be curious as well. Kind of what categories or like what types of things do you even sell? Do you sell like shoes? Do you sell beauty products? Do you sell books? Kind of all the above?
Yeah, so getting a little bit into the weeds here. So a little bit about my background is I have a big shoe background, and that's not because I necessarily love selling shoes, but when you start doing, flipping items, it's pretty easy to start out with shoes. I used to go to Ross, Burlington, and if you guys are in the States, those are discount stores. Basically, you're able to find high-end shoes like Jordans at say a Ross for half retail or even a quarter of the price of retail, and then I would flip them onto eBay. I don't currently do that anymore, but that's how I got started. I would find various shoes like in 2018. I would go to Ross after working my job at McDonald's, and then I would buy shoes for like 20, 25 bucks, list them on eBay for 80 plus, and then make 20 or 40 bucks there. And I did that for a few years, and then I discovered Amazon, and that's really where it took off.
I'm curious, like from a viewer's perspective, the thought of going from like, I'm working this job and I know that if I work an hour, I get paid $7, $10, $15, $20 an hour or whatever it is. How do you go from that to walking into a Burlington coat factory and being like, there's profitable items here? And like also getting over that barrier of like, there's 20,000 items in this store. Like, do I just sit here and type every single item in the store? Like, how was that transition for you?
So for me, I really just had to make it work. Like I had no money. I had absolutely no money. Really similar scenario to a lot of people. I was in college doing, my college classes. Then I was working at McDonald's, and I had absolutely no money. I like to say for 3-year period, every like 4 to 5 months, my car would break down. And I was just in a constant state of, man, I have zero money whatsoever. And I had to make sure that I was at a place where I didn't have to worry about this anymore. It got extremely frustrating. I think that's what it takes for most people, is whether they're at a job and they're like, I hate my boss. That's the typical one. They're like, I hate my boss. I hate this job, whatever it is. For me, it was like, dang, I'm super broke. My car breaks down like every 3 to 5 months. This is ridiculous. I need to find a way to make it work. And I saw videos online of people, and it was something small, because you see all these people, these motivational speakers and whatnot, talking about, oh yeah, they talk about these abstract concepts, right? And they skew things, but nobody gives practical information on how to go from 0 to 10K in your bank account. And for me to do that was going through these discount stores and buying items for, say, 20 bucks and then selling it for 60. And I just did that. I did a ton of repetitions of that. And then I had my part-time job, which was covering some of my expenses, right? And then I had the flipping that was really making me thrive, like making me thrive. That was the only thing that was giving me enough money in the bank account to actually grow it, right?
So you kind of just approached it with I have to make this work. I'm not going to like sit here and try and strategize while I'm outside of the store how I'm going to do this. Like I'm going to take any practical tip that I can find and actually like go in the store and actually try that and make sure that it works and learn from the failures and learn from the successes there. Is that kind of how it went?
Yeah, so for me, it was like, it seemed very proven. A lot of these other business models and these other things people talk about, stock trading, all these other things, you need money for. Like, you need a ton of money. And what I saw on Instagram was people that would buy, like, there was no fabricating here. There was nothing that was untrue. They would literally show screenshots of them buying items from Ross for 25 bucks, and then they showed the eBay sold comp of it a month later for 100 bucks. I was like, okay, like there's nothing fishy about this. There's no way I could lose money, especially with these retailers. You could just return the items. I know people don't like that idea of, oh, buy the product, just return it. But if you're broke, you just got to make stuff happen. You buy the
Yeah.
stuff. If it doesn't sell, you return it. You have exactly what you had before, and you keep it moving. That's really was my mentality. I mean, it's still my mentality.
How did it go from that to selling on Amazon? Because you were going to these stores and purchasing from Ross or Marshalls or Burlington Coat Factory and then selling on eBay. So did you make an Amazon account and then say, I'm going to get ungated in some of these apparel brands and then sell on Amazon?
Yeah, so really the way it worked is I actually had an Amazon account in 2017, and I tried to do books. I was like, man, this is way too much work for what it is. Maybe it might just be my area. In Florida, there's so many resellers. It felt very, I don't know how to put it. Like you go into a Goodwill and there's 7 people scanning books. It was insane.
Like at any
So
given time.
not any given time, but I at
But any
least
given
run
time, there's
in.
like two or three.
Yeah, yeah. At any
That's
given time, there's 2 or 3.
nuts.
It was very, like, very competitive here for that. While I liked when I would go to the discount stores, I could just pick up shoes and there really wasn't much competition, like breathing over my neck per se, right? I really like that aspect of it. And books got me into just flipping a few books on Amazon in 2017. I consider myself not really an Amazon seller from 2017 to, about 2020, but I did flip like a few things here and there, nothing crazy. I sold about like 40K within the course of like 3 years, but I didn't know how to read Keepa. I didn't know the fundamentals. I didn't know how important of a platform Amazon was. It was just stuff that this is also another thing too. If you guys are starting out, join cook groups, join these groups. And if you guys aren't familiar with that term, it's really just a group of like-minded individuals that are trying to buy items for cheap and then sell them for more. And some of these groups will say, hey, go to this store and buy this hot item and sell it. My entire Amazon business throughout those years was just somebody in the group would tell me, hey, go and buy pools from Big Lots. And then I would go and buy the pool after my work. I would then sell that same pool that I bought earlier that day, same day, for $80, and I'd sell it for 200 bucks and I'd make 120, which was insane at the time. Because when I was working, I was literally only making after tax like 75 bucks a day, if that, right? So it was huge. Like that changed my life, just being in groups of like-minded individuals. And that's some really good practical advice. If you guys have like zero money and trying to start, it might be worth it to pay 20 bucks a month to go into one of these cook groups or one of these bolo groups, whatever you would like to call it, right? Because your ROI on that is going to be insane, because all you need is 1 or 2 plays in that group for them to tell you to go and do, and you'll make your money back. So I highly suggest that for people that don't have that, right?
And it's another way of thinking about it is once you've done that and seen what the cook group is calling out and you've made those purchases and made those sales, you kind of start to see the patterns of what actually works and what actually doesn't. Because I think Amazon, kind of like the talking about the Keepa before, like once you see the patterns 100 times, you kind of start to see like, yeah, this is the type of product I'm wanting to sell. Like this is going to work versus like, no, this thing doesn't sell at all. And like, I wouldn't even send that in if it was free. So I'm curious, was that the moment for you where you kind of got that proof of concept to the point where you're like, all right, selling on Amazon or eBay is a better value for my time than even working a job where I know that I'm going to get paid for sure?
For me, what really did it was when I was looking at where my time was going and seeing at my job I was making, let's say, $1,000 a month, right? And then the flipping business, I was doing it like the hours that I was putting in along with school. So I was doing school full time, part-time job, and then I maybe had 10 to 15 hours a week to dedicate to reselling. It's like, well, reselling is making me 2 to 3K a month, and I'm dedicating part-time hours to this. While the job that I'm at is making me around, 1,000, 1,200 bucks a month. So it just made sense. Like, oh, I could just buy double what I'm buying in my reselling business, the products that are actually selling, and it will work out. So that's kind of how I saw that. I was like, well, if we just do a little bit more, like even if I took, that's really what led me to quitting my job at McDonald's, was I'm making so much more at reselling. I was making over double, and I think that's the mistake that people make too, is they just want to quit their job right away. And that's not like, that's what the gurus preach. Oh yeah, you do this, you quit your job, everything's fine.
You got to
It's
be
not
sure.
fine. You have to have money. You have to have money, and you have to have money, be around the right people, and actually know what sells. If you don't know any of those things, you're not going to be able to just quit your job today and then start making money month over month. Like there was months I made no money. I would buy stuff, I made no money. I had no idea how to read the sold comps of eBay. I had no idea how to read Keepa at the time, right? I made a lot of mistakes, but now I know how to read sold comps very well. I know how to read Keepa very well. I still make, minor mistakes here and there, but I'm so good at reading the data now that the mistakes are very minimal, and I'm able to work at a very slimmer margin, but do a ton of volume and make money through that. So that's kind of my business model now. That's another thing too. In 2020, 2021, there was so much free money to be had because of the pandemic. So there was so many people that were, I like to call them fly by night resellers, where they were making a ton of money with reselling, but now they're gone. Like a lot of those people are gone. They tried to pivot. Now they, maybe they, I saw it on Instagram a good bit. They made a ton of money doing the pools, right? And they're like, man, that dried up. So now they have to sell courses to make money. Like that's just how it is. That's how it is
Unless they
for a lot
pivot
of
and
people.
actually learn how to do regular reselling.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to get at is I learned how to actually resell, and that's how I make the bulk of my money. So not knocking anybody's hustle, but I'm just saying that's what I did. I didn't start during the pandemic. I started 2017. I just learned throughout the years. Now we have over 5 years of reselling under our belt. I mean, I know I have so much knowledge that of various
Knowledge.
different things that knowledge of various different things that it's like kind of unreasonable for me to make what I want to make in a month now. Like I could, like anything, I could go to garage sales for a day and make $200-300 in a day now, just because I know the different brands of different items, and I could flip those on eBay and still make really good money. Or I could flip stuff on Amazon and make a lot more because of
More
the
money.
volume. Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
more because of the volume. But I know that's the thing too, is like you get these skills, and once you have these skills, you're good. You can make as much as you want after you have those skills, but acquiring the skills is the hard part, and I feel like nobody talks about that.
It seems like you're alluding to the fact that it's like we both sell on Amazon right now. We have our various business models. We'll get into exactly what you're doing in your Amazon business today, but we both have sold on eBay. We both have sold books on Amazon. We both could probably like thrift and sell on Amazon. We could both do retail arbitrage and sell on Amazon. And like we have all of these skills that we've learned. And so if what we're doing right now doesn't work out for some reason, oh well, like let's just make 5K a month selling from estate sales. Like it would work. Like backup plans
Yeah.
after backup plans after backup plans. So I'm curious, in 2020 and 2021, what your Amazon operation kind of looked like.
Yeah, so really in 2021, I wasn't selling on Amazon much at all.
Didn't you
I
start
uh
around 2020?
I had an account in 2017, but I didn't really sell. Like it's just random one-off things. Really, the end of 2021 is where I started dabbling in Amazon, because what happened was I actually ran a very successful dropshipping business, and I wasn't dropshipping on Amazon. There was a finite opportunity where you could dropship on Facebook. It's still around, but it's just not as good as it used to be. Really, in 2021, I did that a lot. We had over 17,000 listings online of people where it's just readily available to purchase. And then I would, funny enough, buy it from eBay, then sell it on Facebook, and then make a little margin in between. And that business actually made pretty good money. And that's really what got me the seed money to be like, okay, let's start Amazon, because I saw the opportunity as a much more scalable vehicle than just drop shipping here and there. Because the problem with drop shipping on different platforms that I found out is you can't really scale it. You can to a certain extent, but at a certain point it just becomes, there's a lot of logistics issues, right?
Yeah,
You're
well,
depending
you had
on
17,000 listings. So
yeah.
so did that basically mean that you had to like make sure that the sources were always in stock on those 17,000 listings, and probably a ton of tracking issues and like customer service issues?
Yeah. So the customer service was pretty intense on that. Like I'd have to answer tons of questions daily because I was doing lots of volume, but per order I was only making like $4 or $5.
Mhm.
So it was like I was
Yeah.
doing dozens upon dozens of orders and making a extremely small margin, to the point where like we made good money, but it was like we had to do so much volume, so many headaches, and I didn't see it as a very scalable opportunity, especially at the end of 2021, because Facebook's algorithm changed, and pretty much overnight my sales were going from like 5 6K profit months to like 1K just overnight, just because the algorithm changed and I put up all that upfront work with all the listings. I saw it as, if Facebook isn't going to care about my business, I'm not going to care about theirs in a way, right?
So see
um
ya. Yeah.
yeah, so see, it's still a great platform. I mean, you can still drop ship on Facebook Marketplace and make good money. I expanded to other platforms. I was drop shipping on one I can't name because they might come after this video, but OfferUp, I did that for a little bit, and that was kind of interesting. It was a great opportunity for the time. It really got me the seed money to want to start Amazon, right? Because the problem that I had with Amazon is, a lot of people won't tell you this, but you usually work on lower margins unless you're doing books.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, okay, Amazon, I'm gonna try it out. So I tried it out. Basically, me and I found a friend, and I was in a group that was a cook group, right? It was a group that I was paying for to be in, and I found a dude in there. He mentored me. He sold over $1 million in shoes the previous year, and I had prior shoe knowledge, and I was like, okay, well, we'll try this thing. I started selling all sorts of really basic models of Nike shoes on Amazon in the beginning, really at the end of 2021, and then the beginning of 2022, and that really just started to take off. I was looking at 𝗬𝗂graphs every single night. Every single night. There was not a day off. Every single night we were looking at 𝗬𝗂graphs, learning how, like, why is this product selling? How do we read variations in 𝗬𝗂? What happened here? I was looking at every single night with a buddy. I had you could say, a accountability partner. I think that's a really weird way to say it, right? But it's really just one other person that was like, dude, I got to make this work, and I had to make it work, right? At that point, I didn't have a job, I didn't have anything, and I was like, we got to make this work. So we were both there, looked at all these 𝗬𝗂graphs, and we learned, okay, we learned what sells, what doesn't sell. We learned how to analyze a graph and analyze a listing to know, okay, we can go onto this listing and sell this shoe 1 time a month or 2 times a month. And I built an entire business off of that over the course of the last year. And it's been pretty good. Every month, I've pretty much grown month over month, and we've been doing pretty good. In the last 3 months of last year, did pretty well, like consecutive 10K profit months. So that was
Heck yeah.
awesome. That was awesome. I was, and it was really nice to see, because you're putting your money into this inventory, and I know it would sell. Like, you build that confidence over time, and it doesn't happen overnight. I don't think a lot of people will say that, but it really doesn't happen overnight. Some people, they get it right away. For me, I had to fail a lot. I had to fail a lot to figure out Amazon, but once you figure it out, it's really just you're plugging money where you think it's fit, and it becomes a lot easier. But if you want to scale to a massive level, you definitely need different skill sets to be able to do that.
I want to like get into one point real quick. I don't know how it was for you when you were doing books, but for me, when it came to doing books and then other sellers, I know I was very much so in a competitive, like, there's only so many books, there's only so many profitable products type of mindset. And if you go from books into online arbitrage with that type of attitude, how do you think it would have been different for you if you had gone into online arbitrage with that type of competitive, nobody's my friend, everyone's my competition type of mindset?
So the thing is, I had that mindset for a while. Like, I had that mindset for a long time, but you come to realize you do enough stuff online, you just sell over the years, and you realize that there's so much opportunity out here. And even if you say, like, even if you gave somebody the keys to the kingdom, right? You show them everything, they're probably not even going to capitalize on it. Just putting it straight up. The thing is that I try to do is just provide as much value as humanly possible to everybody that I interact with. And if they help me out, great. And we're going to keep on helping each other out. And if they just want to take the leads or whatever it is, that's fine too. Like it is what it is, right? I don't like the idea of having a scarcity mindset in general. There's so much money to be made out here. There's so many things that are changing, especially in today, like AI. Nobody was even really using it. I mean, I'm sure people were, but not the masses were using it over a year ago. And now it's changing the landscape of business entirely. On Amazon, like I posted a post on my Instagram, and my Instagram's 𝗂𝗍, right? And I posted a post showing the graph of
I saw
Amazon's
that.
revenue year over year, and it's just straight up. And I made a comment saying, yeah, it's too saturated, don't worry about it. And the joke about that is, like, there's so much opportunity, there's literally not enough people to come and capitalize on it. And that's where people like me and Seth come in. And we come in here and we make a ton of money on Amazon. And if you guys want to take advantage of selling on Amazon and not letting the opportunity fade, like the Eminem, what is it, the Eminem quote? Like, you only got one shot, one opportunity, right? That's how I feel this is, right? We don't know how good Amazon's going to be in the next 5 years. We really have no idea. People say, oh yeah, it's going to be fine because the previous years. We don't know. They could say tomorrow, you know what? We don't want third-party sellers. It would make no sense from a business perspective, but they could do it, and they could still be a massive company. So we're here just to make money while we can. And I see as Amazon as a platform where you can make a ton of money, even at a very young age. Like I'm 23. I'm not too old, right? And you can come in here and make a ton of money. You can learn this skill, and it doesn't take you 4 years. It's not like a 4-year degree. You can learn this skill in less than 6 months if you really try. For me, it took a year. You can learn the skill in a few months and really make a good bit of money at it. And I don't see many other opportunities that are like that. Like the other day, I Googled how to make money online, like work from home things. All of it is trash. Like a lot of it was just complete garbage. I'm like, wow, like 90% of this stuff is just scams. And then they're selling on Amazon, which is such a great opportunity. You really just got to put the work in. That's it.
Yeah, like related to that, a lot of people look at Amazon and they say, "Oh, Amazon's saturated. Like everything is like so much harder now. The fees are so high, like blah 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 blah." And on one hand, they are right. It is saturated. There are more sellers than ever. But like Amazon sales are way higher than ever. And like the way that I see it is there's a spectrum of sellers. And so if you are like the worst of the worst, like you spend 3 hours a week on this, you take it super casually, like you don't take this seriously at all, that section is saturated. There's a ton of sellers competing for this little part of the pie. But if you put in like just a little bit of work, like actually take this a little bit seriously, there's so much above that section, but you have to actually put in like some substantial work. Like for example, probably my brother's not watching this far into it. He resells on like eBay and Depop, and he wanted to do Amazon and do it completely remote. And he put like maybe 5 hours a week into it. He sold some stuff. He kind of broke even, like never really got the hang of it. If he had put a lot more effort into it and cared, I think he could have done really well. You kind of just have to determine like, am I going to take this life-changing opportunity seriously and actually put some time into this and like really focus for a couple months and learn the ropes of this? Or am I going to spend 3 hours a week on this and never really gain any traction? And like all your money is eaten up on fees because the price went down on the things that everybody else is buying because you weren't creative enough, honestly. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
When you're starting a business, you have to put so much time in up front, really just because you know nothing. That's what I see. In 5 hours a week, you could do that. Like I'm at the point now where I could literally send everything
Yeah.
to prep and still make good money in my business. But that's only because
Right.
I put in all of the initial work of learning how It's like everybody, we all have the same data. We're all looking at the same data. But the thing is, being able to interpret the data right is an insanely high value skill. And if you don't know how to do that, you're definitely going to be paying, and 𝗬𝗏 says it, that ignorance tax, where basically you don't know anything, so you're just failing. Like straight up, my first 2-3 months of Amazon, I made maybe $2,000 or $3,000, if that, which is all right, but I lost like $3,000 too. So that's the thing, is I wasn't necessarily making a ton of money, especially in those first few months, but I was learning the skill and daily taking the steps that it is what's required to be able to get to the point where you're able to buy and sell thousands upon thousands of dollars in inventory a month and buy items that actually sell. And you're not parking your money into something. And it's wild to see other sellers where they'll buy, say, 10 of a shoe. And I look at them like, man, they're going to be holding this for a year and a half. It's wild to see that. And there's so many people that have so much money, but they don't know the intricate knowledge of how to buy inventory to sell out in 30 days. When you don't have any money, you have to buy just enough inventory to sell in 30 days. Because
Yeah.
if you don't, your earning potential over the next year for that money is going to be way lower. You're gonna
Unless you have like an abnormally high ROI. So like, let's say we're shooting for 30, 40, 50% ROI in 30 days or whatever, and you have it sit for 3 months, but it's 200% ROI. It was an RA find or something, or really crazy OA item. Like I think that's fine as long as that's calculated. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
you don't just like swing a bat and like close your eyes. You gotta open your eyes and actually be precise about it.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Seth. I kind of left that out, but that is a good point. Like if you're like Joji, one of our good friends that flips books, where you're buying a book and say it's 200% ROI and you'll sell it in 3 months and make your 200%, that's amazing. Like that is completely fine, but that has to be in the, the playbook, right?
Yeah, that has to be part of the plan. Otherwise, you're gonna buy stuff that's like, oh, 300% ROI, and then it sells in 2 years because like the thing doesn't really sell.
Exactly.
And Cody, I'm curious what your Amazon FBA business kind of looks like today in the last couple months. Like what categories kind of are you sourcing? What type of things are you doing in your business these days?
Yeah, so at first, and I think this is really important, is you focus on one category. So I focused on mainly shoes. I'm still mainly focusing on shoes. That's the bulk of my business right now, is still shoes. But I think if you're a beginner, just start in one category. And then right now, I've started to branch off because at some point, it just makes sense to start branching off into other categories and buying the low hanging fruit in those. So I'm selling shoes, I'm selling grocery. I've started getting into beauty, which I know nothing about makeup or anything like that. So it's
Hey,
like,
you're buying data, not products.
yeah, I'm buying data. So it's like, okay, we'll try this out. I can't believe they're paying $40 for like this little tiny tube.
Yeah.
But like I say that, talking to my girlfriend about it, I'm like, $40 for this? And she's like, oh, that's a good deal. I'm like, what? You know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? That industry just blows my mind. But there's still good items to buy there. So I've been buying some beauty, getting into grocery a lot.
Grocery is
Starting to
so
sell.
good if you do your own prep,
Yeah,
because I
grocery's
feel like grocery
amazing.
grocery you can just crank like $1.50 to $4 profits, but like if you're sending to a prep center, that just gets slashed.
No returns too, which is insane.
True. That
Yes,
sounds amazing.
the past 12 months, my businesses have been extremely hands-on, to say the least. So I've been doing all of my prep, all of my pretty much everything. I've been doing everything, sourcing the products, prepping the items, repricing, everything like that. All of it. Very hands-on. And I think a lot of people, they want to outsource all of it. They want to outsource everything as soon as possible.
They're
And
like, how can I learn this in like 10 days so I can hire a VA and do it? Like, that's so many people's perspective.
yeah, it's like, oh, I can just pay this person $400 a month and they're going to be a full-time employee overseas. But it's like, dude, you don't know how to source yet. Like you don't even know what a good product is. Even if they give you all the best products, you don't even know that they're good.
Yeah.
Right? You have no idea. You have no idea what you're looking at, especially at first. Even if your VA fed you all the best products in the world, so you have to put in those reps to figure out what's a good product versus not a good product. You have to know all the weeds of the business. and then you can dial back. That's kind of the point that I'm at. I realized, man, the only reason why my business, I wouldn't say isn't growing, it was still steadily growing, but it's not growing how I would want it to be, is because I'm doing everything. And I'm really shifting now into the role of, I want to hire VAs, I want to hire a team, but I don't want to just do the typical where you hire a team and you don't talk to them. No, I want these people that I'm hiring to be people that I talk to once or twice a week at least, right? I want them to be part of the team. They're not just somebody that's inputting stuff into a spreadsheet. I want them to talk to me, and I want to build that, really, that inner circle, that community of, say I'll hire two VAs. They both work together every single day, and then maybe twice a week I'll do an hour call with them, check up, make sure the team's everything's all right, make sure our account's doing fine, make sure we're restocking on all the products, and really just make sure the team is really solid. So that's kind of my goal for the next 6 to 12 months at least, is really just to hire that core team, that 1 to 2 people. Another thing that I've done too is start sending a lot of items to prep, because I'm learning that, you can't prep everything yourself, right? If you want to grow, you got to be uncomfortable, right? So you have to start sending items to prep centers. And definitely, like, don't just start sending tens of thousands of dollars to prep centers right away without you knowing that they're going to even ship it out, right? You got to test it out, take it slow, make sure they're reputable, they're fine. So
Yeah,
that's just really
no,
what
no
I'm looking
shame
at.
in no shame in hopping on a Zoom call with them, or like pulling up their facility on Google Maps and like looking at their facility to make sure it's not a tarp outside of a barn. But
Yeah, exactly. Make sure they're not like dancing around your packages, and like, make sure everything's completely fine. I like going on Google Maps and seeing it always gives me peace of mind. I'll go on Google Maps and I'll see the facility and be like, okay, this is actually like a legitimate business. They have their
yeah,
business name on the outside. And like, you go on Facebook or Better Business Bureau and you see that they're doing well. So that's just kind of my thing. And for like more of the mom and pop prep centers, I just like to send them a very small test order at first. That's what I see it. It's kind of like a test to buy, but for a prep center, where you'll send them, let's say, 50 to 100 units at first. And if they ship that out in a timely manner, and they actually took good care of your products, and you didn't have any problems when you're selling them, and everything went smooth, then by all means, send them more. But that's just what I do. It's not like a suggestion to anybody or saying, oh, you guys have to do it like this. That's just what I do in my business. I like to take it slow, make sure that I don't fall off the horse, pretty much, right? You want to make sure that you're not taking on extreme risk where you're leveraging credit and doing all these wild
mhm.
things, and then not know that there's a guaranteed return right after that. So I like to take things slow. That basically, you're extremely patient, but you go insanely fast, you make your decisions fast, but you're patient. You don't want to do anything too absurd, right? You don't want to send 10,000 units to a prep center that you've never even tested out before. I would think that would be absurd. You want to just test them, see if they can handle it, and then slowly do more and more and see if they can handle that. That's really been my mentality behind prep centers and outsourcing so far. And same with hiring people. It's like, it's not like they're going to find products for you right away that are good. You have to nurture them, and you have to show them, you have to make videos for them, show them what products you want to buy.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you can't just like send 10,000 units straight to a prep center. I mean, you can, and honestly, like they're a business that's trying to like send out as many units as they can, and they're gonna have $1.50 prep fee, and they're gonna very gladly send you that whatever bill that is to just bill you for the units, and they will ship your items out for you in almost every single situation. Like I've sent so much stuff to prep centers. 100% take it slow, like no rush. Like if you're already doing your own prep and like you're trying to test out a prep center, just send like a little order to them, see them send it out, send a little more to them, see them send it out, and then you can start using them full throttle. I'm curious, like what steps of those do you think you're gonna start doing first, like sourcing VA or prep center, or are you gonna kind of do both at the same time before we wrap up?
Really, for me, the past few months I have been splitting costs of VA with a friend, and that was doing really well. And I started to do weekly Zoom calls and things with like that with him, but I guess he found a better opportunity and he left. So now, right now, I'm VA less, which is completely fine. But
It's fine.
definitely,
It's
it's
fine.
fine. Just crying. Yeah, he's a really good worker, but I'm gonna be trying to find some VAs in the future. That's where part of my time's going to right now. Major part of my time, especially this last month, is just getting used to inputting things into the spreadsheets for these prep centers. I've been making things very systematized, making sure I track everything very properly for the prep centers, communicating with various of them, like various prep centers. And that's the thing too, is to buy back your time with these prep centers. It's actually pretty cheap. Like a lot of the items that I buy, I'd say like say half of them I was paying sales tax on. So now with prep centers, it's pretty much like I'm actually saving money by using their services on a lot of my items. That's the thing is, I thought that was the easiest thing to try to do in this last month, because not only am I going to be able to increase my margin by sending it to a prep center, I'm going to also buy back that time of not having to prep the items myself. So that's going to give me an extra 20 hours a week that I can dedicate more on training VAs and being more hands-on in creating the team that I want to create to move forward to start getting to those 20K profit months. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts the fact that you can just literally send items to a sales tax-free state. And if you're doing, let's say you have a 7% sales tax and you purchase $10,000 of inventory a month, like maybe it's higher for some people, lower for other people, but 7% of that is $700 a month just by sending your items to a sales tax-free prep center. So over the course of a year, that's actually going to be $8,400 that you save just by sending to a sales tax-free prep center. So that is a serious upgrade at some point. You kind of have to figure out when the right point that is for you, whoever's listening, but I definitely enjoy it. I think Cody, you're going to love it. Like you've been working super hard, and like, that's something I think is really admirable about you. Like, you're like, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to work really hard and make sure that we make a ton of money. Like we're gonna make this happen, whether I prep items for 40 hours a week or not. Like we're gonna make this work. And like I think delegating even more stuff, you're gonna be even more unstoppable with that, which is sick. So I appreciate it.
The goal for me is always people are like, oh, especially at first, they're like, oh, my time, this and that. No, forget your time. We gotta make more money. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
Like I will especially the past year, I would pretty much dedicate all my time to learning how to make more money, and that's just how I see it. If that's your goal, you gotta actually do it, right?
Yeah.
Whether it takes me 80 hours to make 4K in a month or 80 hours to make 5K in a month, the goal is to make more money overall. So if we have to put in more time, that's completely fine. We want to make more money.
Yeah. I kind of like started reselling with the whole perspective of like, this is what I'm doing instead of playing video games. So man, if I make $5 an hour, I'm going to pound my head into the wall and actually learn these skills and make $5 an hour. And it's going to increase over time. Like I would have been playing RuneScape anyways. So like, who cares? Like if it takes too much.
I love that mentality, and that's where most people are at too. Like, not like even if you work 40 hours a week at a job, you're probably doing something else for 20 hours a week. Like like you're either playing some RuneScape, you're playing some Candy Crush on your phone. Maybe you got that Clash Royale, like Town Hall 11, right? Like it's
like, bro, make some money on the internet.
Somewhere the time's going, right? If you even dedicate a portion of that, and you don't have to be hardcore, like you don't have to dedicate an insane amount of time. I think you could dedicate 5 hours a week to a business and make it work, but that time has to be insanely focused, and you have to be able to do that. It's not only, oh, just 5 hours a week for however long, it's 5 hours a week for like 3 years, You're not going to be able to build a actually good business if you just dedicate a few hours a week for a very small amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, you go to college for 4 years, like close to full time, to become a professional in the field. But Cody, I'm curious, as we wrap up, what would one tip be for someone who is looking to get started but kind of just doesn't know what to do yet?
My big problem was I was in like I would consume all this content and then do nothing, and then I thought consuming the content was productive. I'm not saying to not consume content, definitely consume content, but there's a balance there where you have to consume some content to kind of know, but don't consume too much to the point where you're just spending all your time doing that. Like you should be dedicating 80% of your time to just trying to do stuff.
Yeah.
And then very small portion of your time to content, or that's at least what I think. I'm not just trying to be preachy saying what you should do with your time. I'm just saying like that's what really helped me was I would consume all this content and then do nothing with it, while I learned so much more by just doing it. Like if you just do the thing, you'll learn exponentially more. And really, you have to form that initial group of 1 to 3 people. You have to be uncomfortable and DM some random dude in the FBA space that posts some orange bars on his IG, because that one connection could literally 10x your business. That's how this works. We're not about that scarcity mindset stuff. We connect with other sellers and we make more money. That's it. And we wake up and we win. That's all we do.
Exactly. Cody, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so if you want to follow me, I have a YouTube channel. It's 𝗂𝗏𝗶𝗹. Twitter's 𝗂𝗏𝗶𝗹 because 𝗂𝗏𝗶𝗹 was taken for whatever reason. And then
You could have done
Instagram's
𝗂𝗏𝗶𝗹 with a $.
What was that?
You could have done 𝗂𝗏𝗶𝗹 with a $.
Oh, I gotta
That
change
would've
it.
been
I gotta
so
change
cheesy.
that. Somebody's gonna snipe this stream and or this video. They're gonna take that name now. But I'll beat them to
You
it.
got
But,
you got like a week and a half.
yeah, okay. But yeah, really 𝗂𝗏𝗶𝗹s on all platforms. My DMs are open. I have a free Discord group. If anybody wants that, you can message me on Instagram. We all got this. Thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, thank you for coming on and hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Take care.